And we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to have an opportunity to do this live with my beautiful daughter and my favorite cellist in the world, Esther. Esther, say hi to everybody.
Hi, guys.
So, in the light of all those events, Esther had to stay home. I'm so happy that she was home. She came home for spring break from Manhattan School of Music. She's a very accomplished cellist. And as she was here, we were getting ready for some concerts in the area. Everything got canceled. MSM went online. And so this is great because I get to have her here. So I know, first of all, I want to thank everyone who is joining us, and especially those who are planning to audition for UTRGV School of Music. I have to say that we have the record number of violins who signed up for the audition on March 21st, which is great. And all of you who already signed up for UTRGV audition should have received the emails. So make sure and check when you signed up for the audition and you emailed that application and request for an audition, you received replies from our area coordinator, Dr. Yoel Pagan, who is in charge of taking care of the audition information. So make sure, if you haven't checked those accounts, email accounts yet, make sure to check your correspondence, because it will have exact details and on how to submit a video audition. First of all, the video audition is due on the 20th, not on the 21st. The auditions were supposed to happen on the 21st. Therefore, we would like you all to send your video auditions by March 20th. Make sure you do that, because that's important to your being able to qualify for possible scholarships. And as you know, the UTRGV is completely online right now. All of the students are still on spring break. So since we're all home, I felt like this was a great opportunity. Even my private students, I think we all prefer to do distant learning. I've been using Band app, which is a wonderful tool. If you're a teacher, maybe orchestra director, if you're a teacher, you don't know how easily to keep track of your group. I know you can use Facebook, but I prefer a Band app. It's a free app. I can post a link there. By the way, feel free to ask me any questions as you're tuning in, and I will be happy to answer them, me and Esther. So if you are wondering how to keep your group together during this time and keep them motivated, Band app is wonderful. Check it out in the App Store. It's free, and it can hold a band up to 1,000 members, I think. It also, what I like about it, you can set it to a secret, I think a secret, a semi-private, and a public. So what I like about the secret group, no one except for people that you are actually inviting personally can join the group. Therefore, if you're worried about, any kind of sensitive matters about like any information, that any weird people that might be able to chime in into your group, that is not going to happen. You'll be in complete control. Another thing I love about Band app, when I'm posting a video for my students, for example, so for teachers, for example, I'm planning to do some of my classes. I'm teaching high string methods coming up next week, and we have a band group. I always create a band group for my students, and so when I live stream, they can join in, but they can also, and I can see right away who watched it, so that will be kind of easy to keep attendance.
It's also useful because it's a separate entity from Facebook. So like, I know a lot of people, including myself, who sometimes like fast from social media or like take breaks from it. And so it's nice that you can do all of that in a separate place that's not Facebook. So if you feel like you're really overwhelmed with all of the like coronavirus stuff, which I know a lot of people are, and you're tired of logging onto your feed and that's all you see, it's a separate place where you can still interact with other people online, but it's like separate and devoted solely to music. So you're not subjecting yourself to all of that as soon as you log in.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And, I've been doing last summer, I did a whole band camp, virtual camp, and we got very, very good results. And by the way, I have a lot of tutorials I saved from last summer's all-state, all-region band camp. And I think I'm going to start posting those because I feel like they can be very useful. So going to the auditions. So the reason I wanted to, I wanted to do this because I got a lot of questions from the prospective students, because a lot of them know me. I go often to schools and I have coaching sessions with them, private lessons. Some of them come to my house, some of them we just do it in their schools. And so obviously I had quite a few sessions set up at my house to help them with some of the questions that they had concerning auditions. And then now that this whole thing happened, I thought this would be great to just do this live stream where we could address your questions. So now that we don't have any questions in the comments, I'm just going to go ahead and start with the very basic thing. Number one, what is the best way to record? I would say keep it simple. If you have ever seen any of my YouTube videos, most of them are done just with an iPhone. I've tried, there's some simple mics that you could use, but to be honest, if you're preparing an audition for UTRGV right now, I think if you find the right distance from the phone, so it's not too close, not too far, you'll be totally fine. Now, what is very important for us when we are watching and evaluating a video audition is that we can see you and your instrument very well. So I will illustrate, let me see, maybe my chair. Yes, it will help me with that. Okay, so for example, if you are performing a scale and you're starting like this, it's not very helpful to us. You can't really see. Remember that as a classical violinist, you would always turn this way to your audience so that your F holes are projecting the sound to the audience. So that's what, yeah, thank you, Esther. So this is important. So number one, don't stand, like this is a pretty decent distance from, like right now from my laptop. I'm not super close where you can get a lot of feedback and static in the sound, but maybe not too far so we can still hear you very well. And so as you can see like about enough of my body so you can see. See, no matter where I am in the bow, you can virtually see almost everything. So that's very important. And my students actually, they have been preparing. I've had that for quite a few years, video assignments for my students, where I encourage them prepare a video of a piece that they were supposed to play in the lesson and actually bring it to the lesson with me, for me. And that was what I've noticed, that sometimes students weren't aware and they would maybe be sitting like this, for example. Sitting is not the best way to do your video audition. So make sure
you're a cellist.
Yes, yeah. So make sure,
yeah.
So make sure you are standing. Also, if you have a stand, make sure it's not covering you. So basically, the best way to do it is maybe do a little dry run, like record something super simple a couple of times. Find a good I use the stand. For example, I use two stands. If I'm using music, I would have my music stand right here, where I can see it, and then I would put my phone on the stand over there. So that works really well.
Definitely check and do a test run before you like record a whole take, because there have definitely been times where I'm like in a rush or something and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna record this really fast. And then like recently, actually, even though I know that I shouldn't do this, I was like, okay, I'm in a rush, I need to record this Bach or whatever for this audition. And then I got a really nice take and I looked at the video and like the top of my forehead was like cut off, like the way that I had it placed. And I was just like,
oh, that's a bummer.
So, I mean, so it is really useful. And that's something that, even though I've done this before, is easy to forget. So definitely do a test run and check and make sure that everything is where you want it to be. And maybe bring some headphones along with you so you could stick them in and just hear, like, because sometimes the phone speakers can be kind of tinny and it's easier to get a good idea if you have like a Bluetooth speaker or a nice set of headphones to hear how it really is going to sound when someone's listening to it.
Yeah, those are really good points. Really, take it from both of us. We've done a lot, and yeah, it's a bummer when you have a really nice take and then something happens. Also, make sure maybe you turn off the notification bell.
Yeah,
something
put
like
your phone, if you are using your phone, put your phone in airplane mode. And also make sure that you just like don't have any alarms on or anything, because that can be really annoying. But if your phone if it's on silent and you turn off vibrate, just make sure that it's also not vibrating because you don't want like a buzz in the middle of a recording. You should be fine.
Yeah.
The only thing is airplane mode is good because if someone calls you, it might stop the video to like answer the
call. That's the worst.
Really annoying
or someone rings the bell, because you see guys that my back door, if you see my videos, this is my best place. Like it's the most comfortable place for me to record things in my living room. And so yeah, many a time it would be a perfect take, and then the door opens, my husband walks in, or someone mows the grass outside. So yeah, if you can take that into consideration. Now, so this is great. Esther, can you try and post a comment? I wonder if the comments are working, because no one is asking any questions. I just want to make sure and see if you guys can you let me know if you are seeing this comment, if it's all working. I just want to make sure in case if you have questions, you are able to post them. Okay, great. So we talked about, maybe Esther, can you so first point was what? Make sure that you're properly seen, right? You and your instrument are standing, at the proper angles. You're properly seen, your instrument and your bow and your arms, right? And then the second, we were talking about taking care that no random, like take a test, right? Second, take a test run. A little test, what did we call it? A little dry run, or a little test recording, a short test recording, and make sure that everything on the camera is showing and sounding properly, right? Thank you. She's a really good typer, much better than I am. So, and the third, try to turn off as many, noisy notifications and things as possible to avoid any random interruptions, right? Try to turn off notifications and such, and maybe put your phone in the airplane mode. As I said, if you have a professional camera, that's one thing. Oh, wonderful. Hi, Alexis. Do the 2 pieces plus scale all have to be one after? That's a wonderful question.
I was going to actually
So Alexis Paris asked, do the 2 pieces plus scale all have to be one after the other in the same video, or can I take different videos and compress them into one? Wonderful question. So number one, you can actually record. So number one, what you don't want to do, you do not want to edit anything. So whether you're recording your pieces or scale, each one you can do as many video takes as you need to pick until you're happy with that one. And then once you pick them, you could either put them one after the other into one video, or you can actually submit each one with a separate link. The links are usually, what we require right now is unlisted YouTube links. The only thing I would say, so definitely no, it doesn't have to be like, sometimes some schools, like you auditioned for, or orchestras, you had to sit down and play everything, right?
Usually they'll specify, like, I did like an Aspen audition video, and like the previous year they wanted everything in one take, but this year they just wanted like separate takes.
So no,
I usually specify.
So so that's a great question. So number one, you can take a separate take for each piece. You can do as many takes as you want and pick the best one. What you cannot do, you cannot doctor it up and try to edit it and all that. That is because we're going to notice that, and that's going to be very bad for you, right? And then once you're done with your 3 items, for example, if you have scale and 2 pieces, or a piece, an etude, and a scale, and arpeggio, don't forget arpeggios. Then what you're going to do, you can either put them all in the same YouTube video with one link. Make sure mark it properly, so it has your name on there, and it has what degree it is for, like Bachelor of Music in Violin Performance, or Bachelor of Music in Bachelor of Music Education, Violin Concentration, and so forth. Also, and if you are submitting, for example, 3 separate links, for like one for the scales and arpeggios, one for etude, one for your pieces, make sure that you put that in the names, because I've had a frustrating experience before when I would receive several videos from students, and then I would be clicking and it would be the same one, because it's very easy. It's hard to read, so make sure they're properly marked so we don't end up listening and pulling up the same link, right? So what's the next question?
Does the video have to be unedited?
Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Unedited, you just play the whole thing through as well as you can. Now, I want you guys to make sure.
I mean, you could also, they're asking about the,
how
do you do a video without having to re-record several times? That kind of thing.
How do I get a good video without having to
re-record several
sometimes
times?
I have to retape my videos more than 10 times because I am a huge perfectionist. Okay, well, you know, it's up to you. Whatever worked for you. The good news, that's Jay Cow. Good news, Jay, is that obviously you've had a lot of experience recording your videos, so this is great. And by now you probably already have your process. So if you're recording a video for an audition, what I would say, give yourself plenty of time. Don't leave it till the last day. Especially if you live record many times, that's actually, nothing is wrong. That's great. That's what's good about video recording, because you get to hear yourself and analyze. But what I would say, 10 times, I think from my experience, I usually, after 3 takes, I cannot do better. And most of the time it's the second take that ends up being the best.
Yeah.
I don't know, second and third. So I would say it's totally fine to re-record the video as many times as you want, but maybe 3 times at a time, listen and be constructive. So this is what I like to do. I would take my music when I record, I would take my music and I will actually mark everything in my music that I would need to do differently next time. And what you can do, then you can just practice a little bit, deliberately changing those few little things, and then record the second take. If you don't want to just record 10, and see how if that process might help you, you might actually end up not having to record 10 times. Now, the next tip is great, is like I said, do it in a period of, like, leave yourself a couple of days before you have to submit. You can do a few takes today in the morning, then go relax, go have fun, play your games, video games or whatever, isolate yourself, and, make sure, do whatever fun you can in isolation, social distancing, right? And then go back once take a nap. That's great. So after 3 or 4 takes, take a nap, go back, practice, warm up a little bit, check with your music what it was that you were aiming for. Do another couple takes. This way, and since you still have a whole day to go, you will feel so much less stress, you'll be much more productive, and I think you'll have a great time. So great question. Alexis Varela. Hi, my email said that I can submit the video by April 4th for scholarship. Has that changed? Because I heard that you mentioned, okay, this could have been the very latest news. So I will check on that and post it in the comments. Thank you for bringing it up. Things are changing so rapidly. In fact, we're having meetings, Zoom meetings, Skype meetings every day. I know that things were postponed until April 5th, a lot of things. So if you got the email saying that, then yes, go with that. If it's an official email from UTRGV, then that's even better, because you have even more time to check. I will make sure and double check, and I will make sure and post that here with just to make sure. But thank you for bringing it up, and everyone check it out. I will definitely go with that, and check your email accounts again. Whatever the latest news you get, go with that, because every second thing's changing. Thank you so much. For Ethan Veras. So the video cannot be edited, right? Just play your solo and right after play the scales and arpeggios.
Well, you can. I think what she means by not editing it is that you shouldn't add effects, and you shouldn't splice it or anything. Each piece should be its own entity, its own video, but you don't have to do one solid take. So you could do a take of the scales and then stop the recording and then do a take of the solos, but you could do it all in one take if that's what you're comfortable with, but you can't play one scale and then say, okay, I like this take better, and splice it in and do one take of the scales. You have to do each section. Am I
yes, yeah, in continuity. So like you would play for us, at the audition. So what I meant by editing, how you could actually change your intonation. Like right now, we have so much technology. If you are good at it, you could play a scale completely out of tune, and then you could figure out how to splice several performances together and get a perfect scale. Obviously, we don't want that. That's the kind of editing. Any editing that falsifies the actual quality of your performance and makes it not true. Right?
Yeah, like adding reverb or things
yeah,
like that.
Yeah, all those, yeah. So basically think of it as an opportunity to play your audition, each audition piece separately as many times as you want through until you get the perfect take, right? So that's what, does that make sense?
Yeah, and another thing I was actually going to say about the perfectionist thing, because I'm also like that too, is that do your best to try to go into performance mode when you're playing and not analyzing as you're going, because if you're analyzing everything as you're recording, you're actually going to make more mistakes because you're not going to be able to get yourself in the zone. So try your best to imagine that you have an audience there, or imagine that you're just like actually performing the piece, and you'll get a better take. And I think a lot of people understand that when you're making a recording, there's going to be little things here and there, just like in a live performance. So for the most part, go for the take that has the most things that you like, because you're never going to get like an absolutely perfect take where everything goes exactly the way you want. Just like in a live performance, you're never going to have something that's exactly everything you want. So just, do a take. And if you make a mistake, try your best to keep going, just like you would in a live performance, because you never know, you might like the rest of the take. Also, it's really important to have strong beginnings. Like if you have a take where the beginning is really strong and some stuff goes wrong at the end, it's better to pick that one than something that, okay, the end of the take is strong, but the beginning is not, because they're going to listen to the beginning. And sometimes, depending on the time constraints and what you're auditioning for, what you're applying for, the people who are listening to you might not have time, or they might not listen to the entire take. Just like in a live audition, they might say, okay, play the exposition of your concerto, and then stop you, and that's it.
But the beginning, we definitely will hear whether
so always make sure that's like super solid.
Yeah. We can forward and skip around, but that's a great, I would too. Like whatever you hear first, that usually it's very hard to beat that impression later on. Let's see, do we have any new questions?
Daisy Diamond.
Okay. Oh, hi Daisy, how are you? So what exactly is our video audition going to determine? Is it our entry into the School of Music only? And are we still only doing one scale and it's 5 arpeggios? Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And Daisy mentioned that she's auditioning for music education major. So Daisy and everyone else, yes, there are a couple of things that these auditions are going to determine. Number one, obviously, whether you qualify, the level of your performance qualifies for your entry into a UTRGV School of Music violin program, if you're a violinist or string player or anything. Second, we do have usually scholarships to offer. Now, we don't know exactly how much, but for the past several years, we were able to recommend some of the top players for a scholarship. So that's why it's important that whatever due dates you have in your emails about the audition, you can try to follow those as much as possible if you would like to be considered for a scholarship, if you would like to receive a scholarship consideration. So that's what is going to be determined. And then also, of course, when you're auditioning, you can also, if you've seen your applications, there is a line that says your instructor of preference. That's where you can put the instructor you would like to study. Like if you'd like to study with me, you would put Dr. Seitz or Dr. Pagan, violin viola professor, Dr. Tito Janssen, Dr. Amorin, and all the others. So yeah, then, okay, so the scales and arpeggios, I will post, after we're done, I will actually post the link here from the UTRGV website. And what it is, there are very slight differences between a music education major in violin concentration, for example, and music performance major. So those are a little bit different. And yes, I recommend that you prepare 3-octave scale, and the scale can be just a major scale in 3 octaves, but the arpeggios, you want to do, my recommendation is at least 5 arpeggios. And I will, after this, I have a wonderful tutorial I already made in the summer for the 3-octave G major scale, and 5 kinds of arpeggios that go, 3-octave arpeggios that go with it. And yes, depending on, so what I would recommend, I'm going to post those links because, so you guys can take care and just double check all of the requirements, because it's a little bit different it differs slightly from music education to music performance. So I don't want any, any confusion. So great question. I will definitely address that, and I will put the link below with all the requirements. Now, what do we have? Yes. So Malina Ramirez, for the scholarship, do we
send them
okay.
to you?
Well, okay. Dr. Yoel Pagan is a string area coordinator right now. So the audition videos you will send whenever. So when you get the emails, correspondence concerning your audition, it usually, if it comes, whichever address it comes from, that is where you would send the audition video. Now, as I said, things are changing rapidly. I know that since the university altogether went into video audition mode, please check the latest emails carefully and make sure if it says something different. As of now, the videos are usually sent to the area coordinator of each area in the School of Music, which for us, strings would be Dr. Yoel Pagan. Now, that doesn't mean that you are automatically going to study in his studio. He's just the one who will receive the links and then forward it to all of us. However, again, after this live, I will make sure and I will check my correspondence, because like I said, I'm getting emails and phone calls and all these just as we speak. It's just a lot of notifications. Things are changing. So I will definitely post the most relevant, the latest information in the description below as soon as I get off the phone. But the best thing you can do, please check all of your emails. And like I said, if nothing changed, if you didn't get any other instructions, then yes, Dr. Pagan would be the one who would be receiving the links of your unlisted YouTube audition videos, and then distributing them to all of the string faculty. And so what happens after that, each of us will listen to every one of your auditions, and then we vote for every student. Every one of us gets to put the vote, number one, for whether we feel that this student level is appropriate to be the student at UTRGV School of Music or not. And then the second vote, we vote who we would like to recommend for a possible scholarship. And again, so it's never up to one person, never up to just your instructor. Even if you know that you're a cellist and you're applying to study with Dr. Tito Janssen, that's wonderful. But when it comes to scholarship especially, it's never up to the instructor. We all vote on it, but then we only recommend that vote that we came up with to the administration. And then after that, the administration decides who they pick from that list. So, but great questions. Okay, Alexis Perez, are there limited spots in the studios? Well, I have to tell you that usually if, right now we have our classes added for the next, they're gearing up for the September. That's when those who enter the School of Music will be registering for classes in September in the fall. And that's when you go, for example, if you're studying with me, you will look for Violin 1. And that's where after you're admitted and all the paperwork is done and you're officially accepted to UTRGV School of Music as a student, you will be enrolling in that class. Usually they give me 5 spots, but like I said, it's wonderful. I'm really excited because we have a really, really high volume of violin students. And I'm so happy to see this. And they come from very good programs in the area, mostly in the Valley. I know the teachers very well. So I'm really excited. And Dr. Pagan, of course, Dr. Pagan's major is viola, but of course, he also has some room for violin students. So I asked the administration to increase the number of the students that can sign up for my Violin 1 class to 15, just in case. That doesn't mean that I can take all 15 because I already have about 17 students already enrolled in my studio. No one is graduating. However, so yeah, in these terms, there is a little bit of less room than usual. But so for that reason, I would like, it's important that when you're submitting your application, especially if you're a violinist, if you want a particular studio, please write that it would be either Dr. Seitz, me, or Dr. Yuval Pagan. So if you, for example, if you expect to be in Dr. Pagan's studio, please just write it down. If you would expect to be in my studio, write it down. And then hopefully, if we can accommodate numbers that way, it'll be easier. Just it'll keep from confusion and making sure that you all get in. But we do have an unusually high number of students, which is wonderful. We're also ramping up our orchestra program. You know, it's going to be very wonderful next year, hopefully, after everything goes away. Our orchestra numbers are super high. We have wonderful faculty, orchestra faculty, and so forth. So yes, that's the situation right now. Now, Jamil Zuniga. Hi, Jamil. So how exactly will the judges judge our video audition? Okay, wonderful. You know, the way it works, as I mentioned, well, it's not quite as straightforward as maybe before you had a UIL where there was like a little point for everything. And I think that will make you feel better. We understand that you are coming to study with us. We are not, it's not an international violin competition where you have to be perfect and that's it. No, the whole point, each of us has their own criteria that we're looking for. But we're definitely evaluating your quality of sound, your quality of your accuracy of intonation, overall preparedness. Those are the three things that we're going to see. And I want to make sure and let you know, we've played for so long. All of us have so much experience performing and teaching. So we can usually tell the difference between someone who is very well prepared but just freaked out at the live auditions, or someone who is not prepared, Now, however, that is not going to be in play anymore because you're preparing a video audition, right? So we don't have to worry about that. So the video audition, the great advantage of that for you and for us is that we basically can take it for face value for how prepared you are, because now that you're recording it off campus, not in front of anybody, just with yourself, you can record you can get yourself into a place where you can find a nice take after your nerves get out or something. So this is out of the question. So that is not going to be in the picture. What is going to be in the picture definitely is your sound quality, your intonation, accuracy, how well your piece is prepared. The piece needs to be performed in its entirety. And also overall repertoire. If your repertoire is maybe if you play Twinkle Twinkle perfectly, that is not gonna be a good entrance audition piece, right? Because it's just too low of a difficulty piece, right? So those are the difficulty of the repertoire. However, if you're within, I would say if your solo and ensemble, all of you played probably solo and ensemble this year. So any piece that ranks 1 in solo and ensemble repertoire is definitely a great fit. So if you have a piece, and there's a great variation in difficulty within the 1. Now, if you are playing and if you're comfortable with it, yes. Now, if you're playing maybe a difficulty 2 level, but you're really playing it really well, don't go switching. Just stay with it, because 1 and 2, you should be okay. Anything within this 1 is more recommended if you're trying for a scholarship or something. But with 2, there's some pieces that if you play them really, really well, you're still good. So go for what you feel the most comfortable, what you can give us the best quality. Okay.
Daisy, hi, thank you for the information. Are we going to have to do an in-person audition later or in the year as well if we get accepted? As you mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, there's a second part to the question. Oh, yes. So I'll let you into that first. So okay. Are they going to have to do a live audition later?
I don't know. So this year's audition are completely, the decisions will be made only with your videos. There will be nothing else that will be changed after that. So you can rest assured that put your foot forward, the best foot forward with your video audition, and actually you are at it's a huge advantage, guys. I feel like video audition in many cases, you have so much more control over. First of all, you have plenty of attempts to do it, and yes, this is it. Yeah, you will not be asked as of now, but you will not be asked to re-audition earlier unless, like I said, everything is changing. But as of now, that is what is counting as your audition. Of course, once you are a student, hopefully after the COVID-19 is over, of course, we're going to go back to face-to-face instruction, and you will hopefully have plenty of opportunities to perform on campus, because that's what the most important thing for performer is. But as of now, no, it's video audition decision only.
And then the second part of the question was, as you mentioned earlier, regarding who you want to study with, where would we list that?
Well, you want to make sure that you prepare the paperwork. So that should be in your instructions for video auditions when they were sent out. They should mention about the paperwork that you're supposed to submit. When you come to the audition, you're supposed to bring us a filled out audition document where you're listing your repertoire that you're performing, and that's where you will be able, the degree that you're applying for, and there is actually a place where you are gonna, you're able to put the preferred instructor name. So I think that you should find this in your, if not, I'll try to dig through my stuff and maybe post a link for that too. So great question. Yeah, so in those, that paperwork should have a place for you to list the instructor of preference.
Yeah. And then Ethan Vera asked, do you know how many spots are left in the double bass studio?
I do not know because, because I'm not sure. Some teachers, every teacher knows their own numbers. But I would say the best thing would be to contact Dr. George Amorim, and I will list the emails for all of the student faculty, maybe in the links too, or you could just go, or I'll list, the best thing is to contact the teachers directly, instructors directly, and they will be able to clarify that.
Christian Damir M. Vega.
Oh, hey, Christian, how are you? Long time no see.
Hello, Dr. Seitz, nice to see you. So nice to see you. How many times do you record before you decide to send a definitive recording submission? In other words, when should you stop recording and send the best take?
Okay, so Esther, why don't you say, you've been recording a lot of very serious auditions lately, and she had a very good success with those. So
I guess for me, and you can answer too as well, but for me, I guess, as Dr. Seitz mentioned earlier, it's useful to kind of set a limit for yourself, like say, okay, I'm going to do like 3 takes right now, because for me, I start to notice that after the 3rd take, I get tired, I get frustrated, and when you start feeling like, okay, I need to restart over and over and over, usually that's an indication that you need to step away and take a break, take a breather, like eat something, drink something, take a walk. So first I would recommend like taking those breaks and making sure that you're setting boundaries for yourself within the recording process, because it's really easy to say, okay, I'm going to record for an hour and be like, try to make it so perfect that you end up not really getting any takes you can use because you just keep restarting over and over. As far as deciding the definitive take, one of the things that I like to do is listen to the full takes that I got like in succession in one sitting, just to kind of be able to compare them to each other. And then also, if you have obviously like a teacher who's not on the audition panel, like you can't send it to Dr. Seitz and ask her for her opinions, but if you have another private teacher or someone that you trust, you can say, hey, I have a couple of takes that I'm not sure which one to send. Would you be able to listen to them and tell me what you think? Or if you have a trusted friend or someone else who can help you listen, sometimes that's helpful to get out of your own head and your own space and get someone's outside kind of unbiased opinion as to which recording is the best, because that can also be difficult if you're just like listening and playing, listening to your own recording we tend to be a little bit harder on ourselves than maybe is necessary sometimes. Also, as I mentioned earlier, you're never going to get an absolutely perfect take. So the best thing to do is to pick the take with the strongest beginning and to pick the takes with the least like glaring mistakes. I mean, if you have a little finger slip or if something's slightly out of tune in a certain spot, maybe like in the middle or in the end, that's fine. People are going to understand. The panel's going to understand that, you're doing your best, as long as you have a take that showcases your abilities as best you can. I think that's the best way to go and the best way to decide what take you use. Definitely don't pick through to the point where you're like driving yourself crazy, because that's also not helpful.
I totally agree. Yes. It's kind of like, I remember when it was a long time ago, it was 1989. For the first time I got to leave Soviet Union, we had an orchestra tour in Paris. And I wanted to buy perfume in the Paris store, right? It's like super. So I was like smelling 10 perfumes, and after that I could not smell anything at all. I was sick. I could not like even tell the difference. What was perfume and what was, I don't know, a cupcake. It was so horrible. So sometimes, like Esther was mentioning, when you're listening to your own takes over and over, you can get like that. You can literally get like deaf to your own. And most of the time what happens to me, the deafness is to the advantages, not to disadvantage. I started hearing every little mistake. So yes, very good advice. And with that said, if you have the luxury, if your audition is not tomorrow, for example, that's wonderful. So start the process earlier. And this way, the more time, so I say the earlier start, then the more time is working for you. Because as you're getting, if you're not frantic, you can, what I did actually sometimes, I kind of fool my psyche a little bit, and I pretend that, I'm 10 days away from the deadline. Oh, I'm just going to practice. I'm just going to do a practice run. And a lot of times that actually becomes a really good take, because I'm not worried. I know I have plenty of times. A lot of times as it progresses closer to the date, I could get a little bit more nervous. So anything, if you could also put yourself in the environment, for example, if there's a practice room that you usually practice at, where you're used to, your body is relaxing and you're used to feeling, go there, record there. Those little things really matter. You want to, and that's the beauty of recording. You can be, obviously, depending on where you record, obviously read carefully instructions, how they want you, because every audition will have different instructions. You don't want to be disqualified on some technicality. But yeah, I think the best thing you could do is give yourself plenty of time for the project and do a little at a time, and you will be amazed. And also that method, like I do, listen back. As you're listening back, take at the beginning, it works really well. Take notes and really mark your music. Like, for example, I would mark my intonation. If I feel like this note is flat, I would put a little arrow over that note, because it would be consistently like I need to go. And then I practice just kind of anticipating all those little mistakes, practicing it a little bit, and then doing that around. The nice thing is now, it used to be that people had to pay a lot of money to go and rent a recording studio. So of course they only had like 2 hours that they're paying for. So you had to just keep recording until you were half dead. So the good news now, everyone has iPhones. So you don't need a lot of equipment. So you're totally on your own. As long as there are no babies running around and no one's watching TV that's too loud in the next room, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Also, one thing I wanted to mention that hasn't been asked yet, but that's important, is the way that you present yourself on the video. You want to make sure that, just like a live audition, that you're wearing, something nice.
That's great. Yeah.
That your clothes are not all wrinkly, or that you brush your hair, and that the background of wherever you're recording is clear and looks professional. I know it's kind of hard right now because a lot of us don't have access to campus. So what I would normally do is say, go to a classroom or somewhere, or a hall or somewhere that you have that looks nice. So since you can't do that right now, if you're in your living room or your room, just try to make sure that there's not clutter there, and make sure that everything looks nice. Just like if you were bringing your teacher into your room to see this spot, make sure that it's how you want it to be, just because everything in audition is about your impression that you're making, and that's almost, sometimes like in a live audition, especially, even just how you carry yourself walking in. So you can find ways to carry yourself in a positive way on a video audition by making sure that everything is well kept and that you're standing straight and you have a good angle and good lighting, and that you're wearing a nice outfit. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that because it can be important, and it's something that's easy to forget.
Because when it's a video, you can make a great take, and then I forgot I was wearing these really dirty pajamas, and you don't want to do that. So we have something else from Alexis.
How long after we submit our videos do we know if we're accepted?
That is totally up to the university. We usually vote right away, but we're not allowed to disclose the results. It's up to the School of Music. We submit our results right away as soon as we can. Of course, with this time we have an unusual amount of, which I'm not complaining. That's a great thing to have, especially violins. We have a lot of you guys. Some of you did audition earlier at the beginning of March, so I'm sure you're happy it's all over. And then it's up to the School of Music. So we submit our results as soon as we can. We don't wait long. But the School of Music just has its own, whatever schedule that it will send to notify you guys. But usually it's not a very long time, from what I know.
How can we request you for class?
Okay, so what do you mean for class?
If it's for a studio, just as she said earlier in the video, what you would do is follow the instructions in your email. And
so there's a document. Okay, so if you mean if you want to request me for an instructor, then as I mentioned earlier, look through your emails very carefully, and I will see if I could post a link to that. And but when you come to and those of you guys, I see some of you here maybe that already took live auditions, you can share that information, but you will get a packet of paperwork that you need to. So you need to submit your resume, and then there's a form that you fill out that has your name, the degree you're auditioning for, the repertoire you're playing, and that's where at some point closer to the bottom they'll ask you if you have an instructor of preference, and so that's where you would put the name of the instructor, in this case hopefully me, this instructor that you would prefer. And usually we try, unless the studio is completely filled up, but I try to do my best to accommodate all the requests, and Dr. Pagan does the same way. And so the other teachers with viola, the violin is the only instrument technically in strings that you can request a different instructor, because Dr. Pagan is the only one teaching viola, and Dr. Amorim is the only one teaching bass. Dr. Tito Janssen is the only one teaching cello. So it's just only if you are, and you still have place to request an instructor, but especially if you're applying for violin, make sure and see that you got that form or you got the link where you can fill it out, and that's it. It's very simple.
Yeah. Also, I think as far as other classes because you teach other classes on campus as well, right?
Well, I only teach, basically what happens this semester, I'm teaching high string methods, and that's already a part of the degree, and everybody is already there. Yeah. So the rest I teach chamber ensemble. I teach some individual courses like chamber music lit. All of those, once you're in my studio, then you can decide whether you want to take them with me. That's just a part of your degree. Yes. Yeah. Any more?
What if we don't request any professor? Do the professors choose the students they want in their studio?
Definitely. If you don't request, it's up to you. Totally. It's totally up to you what you're comfortable with. And then obviously it'll be up to us to decide what to do. And we usually take into consideration the level of the student. We take into consideration how much room we have. And so we try to do things evenly and fairly. And of course, sometimes it's just the desire of the professor. Maybe they feel like the level of student would be better with them or with the other professor, and things like that. So it's only strictly about how you present. And like I said, if you have no preference, then just leave that blank. But it is harder, I would say. It is more complicated to try to change the instructor later on.
Yeah.
So I would say, not that it's impossible, but it's very difficult, and especially now that we have so many violins, I would say, if you don't have no preference, that's fine, but just you need to understand that basically then whatever choice is made for you, you need to honor that. So, it's, again, not that you cannot switch, but it's just more trouble, more work. So if you do have even a slight preference, maybe it's a good idea to mention it. But if you don't, then you'll be completely fine. We just figure it out. So no worries. There's no wrong, in this. All right. So any more questions? So guys, I wanted to just touch up the repertoire for the auditions. So the scales, when it comes to scales, we request, obviously, you need to play the scale, because now we're so close to the auditions, you need to play the type of scale that you are most comfortable with and you studied. For some, you need to play 2 scales. For others, you need to play 1 3-octave scales. Now, I have wonderful tutorials for scales, and I will post them later on my channel, maybe tomorrow. And if you have never played a 3-octave scale, the best one to start is a G major, because it starts on the lowest note, so it doesn't go quite as high as any other scale. And I have a tutorial for that scale. Now, arpeggios. If you don't know if you've never played 5 arpeggios or 7 arpeggios that are pretty standard, again, I will be posting tutorials very shortly, tomorrow probably, most likely, or tonight or tomorrow, of a G major with 5 arpeggios. Now what it is, it's basically, I can just show you right now. So what we would like you to do for sure more than 1 arpeggio. So if you're playing G major, 3-octave G major scale, this is the one I really I like. So as you can see, the scale is continuous. Some scales list the first note longer. And so forth. It's not a wrong thing, but a scale that is continuous like this is usually a little bit more impressive. It's a next level of playing scale. So if you're playing a continuous scale like this, it could vary a little bit. That's really great. So you're in a very good shape. Then when it comes to arpeggios, try to play at least 2. In this case, it will be G. I would start with G minor arpeggio. And then G major, which will have now B natural. The first one had B flat, this one will have B natural. So if you don't play a lot of arpeggios, if you play at least these 2, you will be fine. You will satisfy the requirements. So you want to play at least more than 1 arpeggio. Now, all 5, if you want to play all 5 arpeggios, this is how it goes. So we'll start with those 2 that I just played. So first G minor, which will be G, B flat, D, then G major, G, B natural, D. Then we will go into an E minor 6 chord. So we'll play G, B, and E, and it will have G major key signature. So in this case, F sharp we're not using, so it'll be all white notes, right? So this arpeggio in the middle. We play only once, and you don't need to vary into major or minor. Next, you will play a C major 6/4 chord. So it's a version of a C major chord that starts on G. So you will have G, C, E natural. And then the same arpeggio with E flat, which makes it a minor version of the same chord. So that would be wonderful if you, and I'm sure some of you have books that contain those arpeggios. And as I mentioned, I have tutorial that I will be posting tomorrow. Now, if you are not comfortable playing these scales, if you're playing a different scale, please don't change it at the last moment, especially play what you're very, very comfortable with. But if you're playing more than one arpeggio, then this is sort of the common pattern that that we usually use. You can find, if you know Carl Flesch scales, book of Carl Flesch scales, he actually spells out those arpeggios in his book. So any more questions? Well, I think that was wonderful. Stay tuned. Please, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to my channel, because I will be posting a lot of tutorials, and I will definitely post, I will do my research, and I will post in the comments concerning the new date. Please post in the comments. Feel free to post I'll post in the commentary, because you can't add to the comments on the live video. But as I say, my next video will be a tutorial on a 3-octave G major scale with 5 arpeggios, and maybe a little more. Also, I understand that a lot of you are playing as your etude, might be playing the last year's all-state etudes like Road 5 or Fiorillo, slow etudes. So I have wonderful tutorials that I made for our band camp, all-state band camp in the summer. So I might start posting those just to help you practice. All right. Well, I think we've done really well. Thank you all.
Yep.
Thank you all for everything, and stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't, not to miss any more lives. If you would like any lives, please let me know whenever I post my next video. That is not live. You can actually add comments. So post whatever interests you. I will be very, very happy to do it. And thank you, Esther, for doing this.
Thanks for having me. And I'll be here as well.
Yeah.
Probably through May. So
I'm very happy
to see some more of me too. And if you have cello-specific questions,
please, I'm
open to answering them.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much, guys. So stay inside and stay well, all right? And go practice.
And watch Netflix.
Yeah, that's right.